Whoa. Sorry, I just woke up. I had this crazy dream that I was in the Big Brother house and I just won the first HOH. I was so excited. I was safe for the week. Everyone was coming to me to form alliances. It was great. I had this awesome idea to promise all of the women safety. Heck yeah. And then I went and met with all the guys and promised all of them safety too. Man, I was just having the perfect first HOH. I couldn't see how it could go wrong.
I've nominated you, Kylan, and you, Alyssa.
Oh boy. Hello everyone, and welcome to this video. We're in the midst of week 2 of Big Brother 23, but it feels like it's week 6 because that first week was something else. Being the first HOH typically comes with a lot of benefits. Yeah, you may set up an early target on yourself, but if you take advantage of that first HOH reign and use it to form alliances and relationships with the other house guests, you can set yourself up really well for the weeks to come. But sometimes, people can let the power get to their head a little bit too much, or they overplay their hand, or they come out the gate swinging way too hard and end up striking out. That's what we're going to take a look at today. We'll be checking out some of the worst first head of households in the history of Big Brother, because for some reason, I feel like this may be a relevant topic. I wonder why I think that.
And somebody else would have been HOH, and we wouldn't be parading around the house like this.
The old guy ain't going home first this week, though.
To start off, let's look at the very first HOH ever in Big Brother 2. Mike Boogie was voted as the first head of household, and I'm just going to say that he didn't necessarily have the worst HOH, because to be fair, he was the first HOH ever, and with that, he had nothing to base his reign off of, and he had to figure out the blueprints himself. Boogie noticed Nicole to be loud and controlling over the other house guests, and saw her as a threat, and wanted her out. To do this, he nominated Nicole, and to make sure she went home, nominated Cheryl Braxton as well to act as the very first pawn in Big Brother, because Boogie thought she was way too well liked by the rest of the house to be evicted. But here's where things go wrong. After nominations, Mike Boogie wanted to align with all the cool kids in the house, being Shannon and Dr. Will, and called the alliance Chilltown. This caused the other side of the house to form an alliance directly in opposition to Chilltown, called the Other People. The Other People knew they had the numbers to keep Nicole, who was in the alliance. Come eviction time, the Chilltown Alliance was thrown for a loop when their pawn and Cheryl was evicted in a vote of 5-3, and Nicole stayed in the house. In a matter of weeks, Chilltown was dismantled down to just one, being, of course, Dr. Will. I don't think this is the worst HOH, but Boogie tried to make a move and make an alliance in the first week, and both of those things blew up in his face and ended up with him being evicted in week 4. I'm mainly including it because it was the first HOH ever, and it ended up not so great. It did end up with Will winning that season, and then Boogie winning All-Stars, though, so maybe it wasn't so bad after all.
It's hot out there, we'll chill in the sun, pick me or her, we're still gonna have fun.
Hope the girls in the house are as cute as them.
I'd say that for the most part, the next 10 years of first HOHs went pretty well. Nothing too bad ever happened during the first week, and I'd say all was good. Then we get to Big Brother 14. Brittany Haynes' team won the HOH comp, and Brittany chose Willie Hantz to be the first HOH because she felt he could benefit the most from the added relationship building that comes with being the first head of household. Right off the bat, people were skeptical of Willie because they were all convinced he was related to Russell Hantz, which he was. But he wasn't telling anyone at first. He finally came clean to his team and alliance that he was Russell's brother, but it was kind of like, yeah, everyone already knew. Fast forward a little bit, Willie's coach Brittany wanted to align with Janelle's team in order to go against the male captains, Dan and Boogie, and the teams decided it'd be best for Willie to put up one person from each of Dan and Boogie's teams. During this first week, Ian Terry was weirding out a lot of the other house guests and driving them crazy, and since he was on Boogie's team, he looked like the perfect choice for Willie to target. However, Boogie went on to win the coaches competition and decided to grant Ian safety for the week, so Willie's easy option was off the table.
Ian has been making people a little nervous, he's been real jittery, and I felt like he had a very good chance to be nominated. Jen has really stepped up her social game, and Frank's probably the most popular guy in the house.
Still wanting to put up one person from each team, Willie went and nominated Frank and Kara. This immediately threw up a red flag to Dan and Boogie as Willie lied to both of them, and it showed Willie's and his team's cards that Brittany and Janelle were working together. So already, not a great spot when you've got half the house looking at you after just the first nomination. But anyways, Willie's initial target is Kara because if Kara was evicted, that leaves Dan with only one player left on his team. And he wants to keep Frank because he feels that Frank could win competitions later on down the line, and that could help Willie. Shane wins the veto this week, doesn't use it, so Willie's nominations stay in place. Seems like Willie could come out of this okay after all. But then Willie starts playing mayor. He gathers all the new players together and doesn't let the coaches join, and starts preaching that the coaches are going to come back into the game and band together to leave all the rookies in the dust. By doing this, he isolates the coaches and makes them feel alerted by Willie, and he freaks out all the new players. On top of that, later on, he slanders Will in front of Brittany and Frank, and it makes Frank pretty upset. Frank then goes and tells the other house guests about it, and all of a sudden, everything takes a huge 180, and now everyone is against Willie. And he's screwed, because he can't even play in the HOH to save himself the following week. Willie then proceeds to get pissed off at Frank, calling him a shady mother effer, and then screams to the whole house that he hopes everyone changes their mind about the vote, that they all evict Frank. Of course, since Willie is the most liked and respected player in the house, all the players does what he wants. No, I'm kidding. The house chooses to keep Frank, and just to put the cherry on top, Frank wins HOH. Brittany had already began distancing herself from Willie, and he knew he was screwed. And the following day, he got kicked off the show for acting like an absolute child and then headbutting Joe. Great gameplay? Not a chance. But great TV? Absolutely.
You're screwed. You're screwed. You have the whole house down there talking about you.
This is getting bull right here. But I hope you go home this week.
Okay.
I hope everybody changes their votes and you go home because you a shady.
Kara, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
Frank staying is definitely not good for me. I made some mistakes in this game, and I'm just going to have to deal with them.
Congratulations, Frank. You are the new head of household.
I ain't never seen a bigger group of in my life. No, I'm not going to go out with class. He's in this bitch.
You're the only I see, bro.
What's that? What'd you say? Oh, hit me!
Hey,
hit me!
Hey,
hit me!
Hey,
hit me!
Hey,
Hit me!
That's crazy. Willie, go to the back bedroom.
So Willie has been removed from the game.
After Big Brother 14, we had yet another large string of seasons with the first HOHs that didn't throw away their game immediately. How boring. But once we get to Big Brother 19, we stumble upon a historically unfortunate first head of household. After Cameron was unfortunately evicted after not earning safety like almost every other person on the cast, the first HOH comp went underway with the house guests competing in teams of 4. Josh, being the big meatball that he is, said screw his team and picked up the golden apple, guaranteeing his safety for the week at the cost of his entire team being eliminated from the comp.
You want to get in there?
Shut up, Josh.
You shut up. When you had to step up, you did it. So don't step up now. Shut your mouth. All right? If you want a gun for me, I'll on you. Do it.
Fast forward to the end of the comp, it's a head-on-head battle between Cody Nickson and Paul Abrahamian, with Cody coming out victorious. Cody already wasn't getting good vibes from Paul and secretly wanted to target them, but due to arising conflicts in the house, this impacted Cody's decision, and he chose to nominate Megan Lauder and Jillian Parker for eviction. Due to a genuine miscommunication, the entire house proceeded to bully and torment Megan, refusing to listen to her pleas of denial, which led to Megan walking from the show on day 8. So already, Cody had to name another nominee for eviction, and the veto hadn't even taken place. Listening to his alliance, he decided to nominate Alex for eviction, even though he didn't necessarily want to. This was later proven to be true at the veto competition when Cody rooted for Alex to win, which she did. Now needing to nominate a 4th person, Cody's alliance was naturally wondering who it was going to be. However, Cody shut everyone out, basically not telling anyone what his plan was. Definitely not a great move to keep your alliance in the dark during the first week, but Cody was stoic and it wasn't seemingly out of character for him to do something like that. Come the veto meeting, Alex removes herself from the block and Cody reveals his secret plan by nominating Paul for eviction, blindsiding the whole house. However, it seems like I forgot to mention that earlier in the week, Paul was secretly given the Pendant of Protection, keeping it safe for the first 3 weeks of the game. Once Paul revealed this to the house, Cody was pissed. His secret target was safe not only for this week, but for the next 2 weeks as well. And Cody now had to nominate a 5th person for eviction, all in the first week, on the spot with no time to plan whatsoever. In a split-second decision, he chose Christmas to go on the block, stating that she just got screwed. Finally, after countless nominations, Jillian and Christmas were solidified as the final nominees come eviction night, and luckily, Cody still had his alliance with him and had the numbers to send his new target, Christmas, home. Except he didn't. By leaving his alliance in the dark about what the plan was and trying to nominate Paul, and then actually nominating Christmas, Cody lost the trust of his alliance, which caused him to break apart and crawl over to Paul's side, where Cody was then the one blindsided when Jillian was instead evicted in an 8-4 vote. Then, to top it all off, Paul won the following HOH and backdoored Cody. Although some things weren't Cody's fault, let's just do a quick overview. After winning the first head of household, his initial target quit the game. The person he replaced them with on the block won the veto. Then the next replacement, Paul, had safety for 3 weeks, and then his last replacement ended up staying after his alliance turncoated on him. Cody had to nominate 33% of the house during the first week. He showed his cards and made an enemy in Paul, who quickly became the most powerful house guest ever, basically. He couldn't even nominate Josh, who I'm sure would have been a replacement if he wasn't safe. He lost his entire alliance after keeping them in the dark the whole week. His target didn't even get sent home, and then he was super backdoored in week 2 after not being able to compete in either the HOH or veto competition. That is what I would call a bad first week.
All right, so let's talk about day 1. So what's going on in your head? Any not so great impressions that
Paul, I didn't like Paul right off the bat.
Why?
I thought he was loud and brash and like just, I don't know, over the top. It's supposed to be like a dig at me, Josh?
No, it's a serious question.
Josh, you don't exist in my book. I'm not going to give you any more.
I'm a guest asking a question.
I'm not taking any questions from Josh.
Okay, now we're at the part we've all been waiting for. Big Brother 23. We start the first episode off with players entering the house in groups of 4 and competing in a smaller competition, with only the winner of that comp being eligible to compete for the first HOH. Frenchie, a 34-year-old farmer, won the first competition, and then promised the other guys he walked in with, being Derek F., Xavier, and Travis, safety for the week. As we move through the other groups and choose the teams, it's time to determine who will become the first HOH. It looks like it's going to be Christian, but his team let him down twice, and then Frenchie was able to swoop in and become the first head of household of the summer. Julie then comes on and offers Frenchie a decision. Play a third competition where you have to throw 2 dice and land them on a platform within 45 seconds. If he accepts the deal and completes the challenge, he earns an additional week of safety for himself and his team. If he accepts and loses, though, he no longer becomes HOH and loses the safety. He chose not to accept the deal, but just because everyone wanted to see it, he competed in the challenge anyways, and won it with less than a second to spare. Meaning, he placed an even bigger target on his back for winning his 3rd competition of the night, and he didn't get any reward from it at all. Once the episode ends and the live feeds turn on, we see Frenchie start talking game. A whole lot of game. He makes his intentions very clear right from the get-go. No woman and no person of color will be nominated under his reign. He wants to flip the script and target the white alpha males of the house. His number 1 target is Brent, followed by Christian, and then Travis. Since Brent didn't really talk to him the first night, Frenchie is feeling good about him being the target as he goes to sleep. Then, the next morning, Brent comes upstairs to the HOH bedroom and just absolutely wins Frenchie over. Whether it was some sort of mist, or if Frenchie was feeling bad over making assumptions about Brent, it doesn't really matter, because now Frenchie and Brent are aligned. No big deal though, Frenchie can move down his list of threats, and now Christian is the target, because he displayed a lot of comp ability during the first night. Unfortunately for Frenchie, there's a new competition called the Wildcard Comp, where 3 people will compete and the winner will be given safety for the week. Of course, since Christian is Frenchie's target, and Christian is starting to feel that a little bit, he chooses to compete, and of course, he wins and is safe for the week. Now Frenchie is pissed. He likes Brent a bunch and won't target him. His big fish in Christian is safe, and he already promised Travis safety. Oh yeah, and he promised all of the women safety. And all of the people of color safety. Which means that Frenchie, within 24 hours of being the first HOH, has promised every single person in the house safety for the week. Yikes. Also, I should mention that Frenchie tried forming an alliance with basically the whole house on the first day, to the point where nobody in the alliance knew who was in it, because people seemingly at random were being brought in. Anyways, Frenchie had to figure out who to target now. He sees Christian and Alyssa hanging out in the kitchen with everyone else, and comes to the pretty clear and obvious conclusion that they must be in a showmance. With nominations happening shortly, Frenchie took the Cody approach and didn't tell a single person who was going to go on the block. Nominations take place, and yeah, you know what happened. Alyssa and Kyland were nominated, with Alyssa being the target if they both stayed on the block. So much for not nominating a woman or a person of color. Obviously, Alyssa and Kyland were upset and felt blindsided. Frenchie explains that he knew that Christian and Alyssa were in a showmance, and since Christian was safe, he had to go for the next best thing. Frenchie is so unreal wrong at this point that it's comical. After discussing with Christian and Alyssa, and bringing them into an alliance, because of course he did, Frenchie comes to the realization that there was a common denominator in all of the chaos in the house: Derek X. Derek X has been the one controlling the HOH and spreading mistrust throughout the house, which, by the way, is totally untrue, and just something that Frenchie tried to say to pin the target on someone and not make enemies with the entire house that he just lied to. And since Travis bros down with Derek X, those two are Frenchie's new targets for a backdoor. So before the veto has even taken place, Frenchie is on his 4th target. Going into the veto pick, Frenchie wanted basically anyone but those two to be picked to play. But as Murphy's Law states, that has to happen, so it should come to nobody's surprise when both Travis and Derek X were picked to play in the veto competition. Awesome.
Oh my God, the worst possible scenario.
The veto competition happens, and what do you know? Derek X wins the veto. Not great for Frenchie, as another one of his targets went and won safety for the week. Derek said he was going to use it on Kyland, and that opens the door for Frenchie to backdoor Travis. But he doesn't really want to do that because he likes Travis and promised him safety. He instead tries to get Derek X to not use the veto because he's realizing how dangerous Kyland could be, and now he wants Kyland out. After Derek X is adamant on using the veto, Frenchie toys with the idea of putting up Hannah on the block as the replacement before his alliance is like, yo, stop with the antics, just put up Travis and don't cause any more waves. The veto ceremony happens, Derek X takes off Kyland, and Travis is the replacement nomination. Not much changes over the next couple days, and Travis is then evicted by a vote of 11-2, with Derek F and Tiffany casting rogue votes. But Frenchie made Tiffany cast that vote so he could pin it on Derek X and be safe for the next week. My goodness. At the end, yeah, you got your initial goal by getting rid of a strong white guy. But what did it cost you? Nobody finds Frenchie trustworthy. He lied to everyone, went back on his word multiple times, and just played like an absolute nut job. I didn't even have time to mention some of the other stuff Frenchie did, like telling 13 people that they were in an 8-person slaughterhouse alliance, or trying to start an all-women's alliance with himself in it. Even after talking about this, I cannot express the amount of chaos that was ensued by Frenchie's Week 1 reign, and I promise I missed a bunch of things in this recap. To top things off, Kyland won the Week 2 HOH. Nobody believes that the Hinky votes were Derek X. His entire Slaughterhouse alliance threw him under the bus, and he's nominated for eviction. During his first week, Frenchie promised every single person safety, changed the target roughly 7 times, and made up a whole lot of garbage. But damn it, that was the most entertained I've been by a Week 1. Probably ever.
So being a fan of the show, I'm not gonna do the things that fans expect and nominate the usual suspects. I'm about to shake things up.
Woo! First wild card comp, all mine. I got safety for the week. Okay.
I gotta break this up quick.
I've nominated you, Kylan, and you, Alyssa.
After talking with Alyssa, I believe she's not in a showmance with Christian. So I need to find a new target this week. I'm prior military, so everything in the house, I'm sitting there watching it like a hawk.
I'm super confused. I don't know where this is coming from. I don't know why Frenchie's coming at me specifically. What's going on?
Travis, you ready?
I'm rocking, baby.
Let's do it. Hawaiian Stallion here.
I just got picked to play in the veto. This is the best thing that could have happened.
Oh my God, the worst possible scenario.
Congratulations, Derek. You have won the Golden Power Veto.
Let's go! Come on!
Have fun finding a new backdoor target.
Farming's not always sunshines and rainbows. Sometimes you have to choose in a herd of cow who to colt, even if it's a stud bull. Travis, please take a seat.
Nuts. Hella blows being up on the block. Ultimately, it proves that Frenchie's a little snaky boy. He doesn't always mean what he says. He's not really a man of his word.
Now that my target, Travis, is on the block, this HOH has been a total success. I can't be more ecstatic.
Frenchie's HOH is the craziest first week I have ever seen in Big Brother history.
Everybody in this room right now is going to the end of this.
Let's go. Let's go.
Congratulations, Kylan. You are the new head of household.
Woo! I tell you what, I'm something else.
I've always been in the mindset of winning the first HOH. Yeah, you may have to get a little blood on your hands, but it guarantees your place in the initial house dynamics, and it's proven time and time again that can get you very deep in the game with a very good chance of winning the whole thing, especially in recent years. However, Frenchie, within literally 24 hours of his reign, has made me question that entire mindset. Last thing I want to say, it was fun looking at this and analyzing how poorly some of these week 1 HOHs went, but that's all I'm doing. This is not a reason to attack these players as people. They played a game, got power week 1, and it didn't go so well for them. That's it. It's fun to crack a couple jokes here and there, and it's great that their abysmal week 1 brought a ton of excitement. But after that, I don't want to continue a narrative that they're bad people or anything, at least on the matter when talking about their gameplay. This is all for fun at the end of the day, and I just want to keep things lighthearted. Thank you for watching this video. You know the whole spiel. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll leave you with this.
Thank you. Honestly, like, I believe him. Like, I know you shouldn't trust really anyone in the house, especially day 1, but he just seems like a very genuine person.